He's been
Oh,
caught.
I know. That fool probably sat there fucking struggling at a really bad steak restaurant. Fuck it, the meat sucks. Come use the meat as a lube. Come here. Huh?
But anyway, like I said, I know Elvis will tell his. I wish mine was better, man, but that's really all I had. So it's the best I can do. Now the girls, man, that it'll be funny because I guess this is one thing I can say. When Tim Sylvia tried to be cute and tell everybody he sharded, he thought, oh man, everybody's gonna get a kick out of this. But it kind of backfired, man, because people call him poopy pants and they tell him he stinks or whatever. And I think at that moment he was trying to be funny, and like I say, it just backfired. So you got to be careful with this, girls. I mean, if you're gonna say something, and you're a regular in the combat chats, it's not gonna look pretty.
Dude, let me tell you something. No matter what happens, if some girl gets caught masturbating, that's hot. Who gives a shit? What are you gonna say to that girl?
You're right.
I was thinking about Tommy Lee. Well, she wasn't thinking about me, and she was masturbating. I got nothing. I got nothing negative to say about that.
All right, let's switch from masturbating to 185-pounders in the UFC division. Our first guest, Travis Lutter. Like I said, he's the winner of Ultimate Fighter Season 5. And he's 9-4. He's back with the UFC, fighting at UFC 83 versus Rich Franklin. Let's bring him in. Travis, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Man, you got the wrong Ultimate Fighter, man. It's Ultimate Fighter 4.
Oh, my bad. You're right. The Ultimate Fighter 5 was
12 and 4. 12 and 4.
Oh, 12 and 4 is your record?
Yeah, 12 and 4. They didn't count 2 of my wins, and then another one of my wins is an on-share dog. So.
My bad, bro. I was just going off what I saw.
Man. No problem.
Stupid shirt dog.
Oh, I got Frank Trigg on the line. He's my co-host. So welcome to TAGG Radio, Travis. It's great to have you. And I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, I remember you were slated to fight at UFC 74, and you incurred an injury. Tell us about that injury, and of course, I'm sure you're 100% by now because we have you slated to fight Rich Franklin at UFC 83.
Yeah. I was training and landed on my neck. I got thrown in training and landed on my neck and re-aggravated an injury and made it slightly worse, where I've got a bulging disc in my neck, and and it just, it was bad enough that I couldn't, train anymore, and if I can't train, it's going to be very hard to fight, so I wanted to fight. It was just unfortunate that I had to pull out for UFC 74, but now it's good to go, man.
Good to go, and now you're going to be fighting in Canada. Is that something that excites you, going into another country? Obviously, the enthusiasm has been incredible. It's already a sellout. Do you look forward to something like that?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I fought over in England a couple times, Denmark, Sweden, and I've always had really good success. Granted, this isn't overseas, but, it's a foreign country, so I'm excited about it. It's always fun to go someplace else and fight.
Who's your camp, Travis? You're out there in Dallas, Texas. I know there's a Lions Den team, and I know Alex Andrade's out there, but I've also heard that you like to train kind of more on your own with your own, personal group. Who's part of your group now?
Well, Alex is with us. I worked out with Alex on Wednesday. He's supposed to be here at 11:30 today. We've got, some of my black belts like Kenny McClure. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's another guy that helps Alex train. Paul Holme, he's training for a fight. And we just got a whole group of guys here. I got a former pro boxer that comes in and spars with me, and just stuff like that. So and we got some other guys that spar with me. I tend to stay close to home and train here.
All right, Trigg, what do you have for Travis Lutter?
Well, Travis, with the explosion that's happening right now, not only from the MMA fighters, but with Cuban jumping in the mix down there in Dallas, has it helped you at all locally as far as more guys coming out wanting to train with you, better guys wanting to come out and train with you? How's the impact been for MMA in Dallas?
As far as my school's going, the school's going great. I mean, it's never been better, everything like that. As far as, Cubans, he's having the shows here locally, and that can't do anything but help, because it's the more that it's talked about locally, the more it's, the more MMA is just in everybody's eye, the more they're thinking, well, you know what, I could do that, I need to find a place to train, and they end up, hopefully in a place like mine, where you've got good guys that they can work with, and and bring them on up.
Now you guys have a common opponent, and I don't believe too much in MMA math, but you both have fought Anderson Silva. I got to say, you did a lot better than he did. You actually got him to the ground. You mounted, and obviously Rich got his nose rearranged. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, does that give you a little bit of confidence that you've been in there with the best and you've battled, whereas he hasn't?
Rich, he's a former UFC champ. This is a guy that, is very good at what he does, and he's going to beat 90% of the people out there, 95%. There's a reason that he's that good, and it just happens to be that Anderson Silva is a little bit better than Rich is at everything that Rich does. But with that being said, it's like I have to go out there and I have a totally different style of game, with the take the guy down and beat him up attitude versus Rich is going to try to beat you up on your feet, and so of course I'm going to do a little bit better with Anderson Silva than Rich did. So I it's like it gives me comfort, and that I did as well as I did with Anderson. But at the same time, it's another different. He's a different fighter, and it's a different day, and I'm just excited to get to go in there and fight him.
Trig, let me put you on the spot a little bit. You're obviously a middleweight as well. You always watch all these fighters and break them down. How do you see this fight going, Trig?
The one problem that Rich has is that he drops his hands when he punches, even though he punches so strong. So when Rich gets punched a little bit, Travis is going to step in and hit him back, which is going to cause Rich to have to not wanting to bring his hands up, but you open up his legs. So Travis should be able to take him down relatively easy later in the first round after a couple of small exchanges. Obviously, Travis is better on the ground. I think Rich is a lot stronger than Travis, but I think Travis is way better on the ground. I see Travis winning this fight simply because, one, being better on the ground, which is where this fight's in the majority of it's going to happen. Even if Rich enables his ground and pound, he's not going to be able to. His shape is not going to be able to work as much if Travis comes in shape. He doesn't necessarily always come to a fight in shape. Travis doesn't. If he comes in shape, it'll be okay. I just think Rich has had 2 devastating losses to Anderson Silva, and those kind of losses change a man. Like, they kind of change how you train, and you're like, well, I can train my ass off and lose, or I can not train at all and still win, most of my fights. So do I really care about training that hard? I think we're going to start seeing a different Rich Franklin now coming out there.
Cool. All right. Hey, Travis, now I got to ask you, and you probably revisited this many times, but, one way to get over it is to put it behind. The weight incident, obviously, at the at your championship fight, is it one of those things where once you were in there, I heard your body just shut down and you just couldn't lose the weight? Does that just mean, how are you going to tackle it differently this time around where you don't, put yourself in that position?
I came in so heavy to that fight, just trying to be as big as possible, that I quit sweating at 189 pounds 4 hours out. And I was just basically stuck there. I lost a little bit more, but we were spending a lot of time in the sauna, and it was just not coming off. And, I'm just not going to be coming in as big to this fight. I'm going to come in, a lot more reasonable weight, weights that I've done before. Or I'm going to be under 200 pounds, when I start my cut, and it's just a lot easier cut. When you're 210 pounds, 208 pounds, and that's just, I just found my threshold, and I'm just not going to be as heavy when I step into the sauna this time.
After this fight, you will have been 13-4 and very competitive in the UFC middleweight division. And being that you lost to the champion once, how many fights away from another shot would you say you are? We've seen Rich Franklin fight one time and then have a shot.
I think it was twice. He fought twice. He fought Jason.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, he fought twice.
He fought McDonald and he fought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it takes 2 fights, 4 fights to get back into contention?
Man, you just don't know. I think it really depends on how the fight goes with Dan Henderson. If Dan wins that fight, I think, it's probably a lot longer than if Anderson wins the fight when they fight here in a month. If just for argument's sake, let's say that Anderson goes out there and destroys Dan, well then, that makes me look that much better for Anderson because, he's out there destroying everybody. But it's just a good fight, and it goes 5 rounds. Whoever wins the decision, I think that puts me in the back, the back burner a little bit longer, in the, it just,